But I was never late for work again, I'll tell you that. My father was a great whistler. I don't know if that's important, but I remember it. He could do that vibrato thing. It's fantastic. And he loved the Roadrunner cartoons. I've said that here. It really made him laugh. I know. I don't get it either, but he loved the Roadrunner. He also loved the Tweety Bird. Tweety Bird and Sylvester. He loved how stupid Sylvester was. I don't know why. That cat's stupid. That bird wins all the time. That's just... I loved watching television with my dad. He had very unique viewing habits, me and him. I went to a school called Cumbernauld High School. The town was Cumbernauld, where I was. And whenever nature documentaries would come on TV with, monkeys all scratching each other's asses and everything, my dad would say, "Oh, there's Cumbernauld High School coming out." And I don't know why it made me laugh, but it did. And he, over and over again for years. And when we'd watch a horror film, whenever it was a scary horror picture on TV, during the tense bit where the monster was kind of round the corner or something, my dad would always, say, "Mind your back. Mind your back." And I pretended it didn't freak me out, but it really freaked me out when he did. And when I was watching television with him, I used to sit in front of him, and he would sit behind me, and he'd put his hand on my head. And I loved that. And he did it last week in the hospital. Probably the first time in 35 years or something. From his bed, he put his hand on my head like that, and it was amazing. It was great. He was a man of few words, my dad. I get the talking from my mother's side of the family, but I was never in any doubt about that he loved me. He wasn't from a generation of people that said, "Son, we need to talk about our feelings, let's hug." My dad would just say, "Aye," but you knew what he meant when he said, "Aye," And the relationship that I have with my father is not unlike the relationship I have with the old country. With Scotland, I complain about it, I grumble about it, I can be mean about it sometimes, but I love it beyond reason. It's where I'm from, it's what I am. And last week, just as we were cleaning out some stuff we were going to make, the room more comfortable for him when he got out of hospital. Anyway, we were cleaning out some stuff, and I found my sister found a letter of commendation from his bosses at the post office. See, this thing had been written in 1961. He'd had it in his pants since 1961. About a fight had broken out in the mail trains where he used to work, and he'd stopped it. He'd got in the way, and people were very grateful. It was a terrible incident. And the incident was dated September 1961. Now, I was born in May 1962. So, the commendation was around about the time I was conceived. And I mentioned that to my father in hospital last week. I said, "That was a big month," and he said, "Aye." And it's true. He was a strong man, my dad. We didn't always get along. Anybody that knows me knows I've got some opinions about stuff, and we got it straight, years ago. But when I was a teenager, that the night after my sister's wedding, we got into a fight. Well, not really a fight. He said if I didn't stop being a jerk, he'd hit me, and I ran away. But I want to tell you about who he was. When I went into rehab, I was in the south of England, and my parents took the bus. My mother and father took the bus all the way from Scotland to this place in England, this rehab in England, a very alien environment for them. And they came into this room in the treatment centre, and they sat, the counsellor was there, and everyone's sitting down, and we're all going to have the family talk. And my father said, "Just before we start, everybody, let me just say, Craig, I am not going to stop drinking." I said, all right, you don't need to stop drinking. It's about me stopping drinking. Anyway, I want to tell you something that happened last week. I was my father had a mantra. he had a thing. He always used to, when I was going to show business, he's, my mother said, get a trade, you must get a trade, you must, have something to fall back on. But my father didn't say anything like that. He just said, do a job that you love. Job satisfaction. And you can be anything you want to be. As long as you have job satisfaction, you can be anything you want to be. And he kept repeating that. My brother and I used to tease him about it. Job satisfaction. Anything you want to be. And we were in the hospital last week in Scotland, and my father was dying, and he knew he was dying. And my son was there with me. He's 4.5. And my son was in, and he drew a picture from my dad of some trees and, a beautiful day, and we put it up on the wall. And he sang my dad, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, which everybody wants to hear when they're in pain, and it's the middle of January, and my son sang him the whole thing, Dasher and Dancer and the whole thing. And, and he got through that. But then something happened. My son said, I've got a great idea. And he went underneath my dad's hospital bed. And he said, I'm going to sing a song, and you can't see me. For some reason he thought it'd be very funny. Yeah? Maybe I'll try it here one night. And then, and he sang, just as my father was lying in bed, my son sang a song that he picked up from one of the kids, all these endless kids' albums that come out. My life's full of them. And my son sang this. We were sitting there with my dad in the great drama of the deathbed, and my son sang, you can be anything you want to be. You can be. And I saw my dad, even in the pain, something like that, and a smile crept across his face. And it was fantastic. I miss him. You didn't know him. That's your loss. He was a great man. And it's hard to say goodbye to people. It's hard to say goodbye to parents. And when I left my dad, we got it straight. I said goodbye to him. And I couldn't speak, so a gesture came to me which I felt worked, and I think he knew it as well. I punched my chest and I threw him my heart. Good night, Dad.